Hello guys, some news about the new Resident Evil 1 remake has come in, and if the source is accurate, these are significant updates regarding the new game, as well as some potential news about the release date as well. So let's skip the introduction and dive right in. According to the Resident Evil Central, the Resident Evil 1 remake will feature slower gameplay compared to the Resident Evil 2 remake. This is very interesting because since Resident Evil 7, every new game has had more and more enemies, more action, and thus a faster pace. But even with this increase in speed, I think the balance between survival horror and action in the modern games is much well struck than it was in the PS2 era. So in that regard, we don't have to worry about the new remake either, I believe. The Resident Evil 1 remake will stay true to the original game by having fewer zombies than the sequels. However, to compensate, each zombie will reportedly have its own character model, making encounters with the undead much more unique and personal. Due to this, you will need more ammunition to take down these monsters. This might divide the fans, but I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing if exploring the Spencer Mansion involves worrying about how to handle that one specific zombie in that hallway which leads to a key item. Still, you can probably slow them down by shooting their legs or other limbs, but putting them down for good will require a significant amount of ammo, and that gives more tension. Speaking of, taking down zombies won't be a guaranteed payoff, because Crimson Head zombies will also return in the new remake. Those who have played the latest remake from 2002 know how troublesome these bastards can be. Resident Evil 1 remake from 2002 is also famous for its beautiful 2D rendered backgrounds and incredibly cinematic camera angles, creating a dreamlike, nightmarish visual experience throughout the entire game. However, the new remake will feature 3D models and the third-person perspective, which is said to be a new third-person camera angle to emphasize further on the slower gameplay. What this means exactly is still unclear. Will it differ from the third-person perspective seen in Resident Evil 4 Remake and 2 Remake? Perhaps we might see dynamic fixed camera angles, aka Silent Hill style or Code Veronica style. The Spencer Mansion was beautifully depicted last time, and I'm sure that's the goal again, and it would be a shame to sacrifice some classic camera angles entirely for third-person gameplay. Also, the Resident Evil 1 lore will be expanded. What could this mean? It's almost certain that Jill Valentine and Chris Redfield will be playable characters again, but will Lisa Trevor return? Will we have new content, new areas to explore, new side characters to get to know? Also, Rebecca Chambers' story, which was expanded in the prequel game Resident Evil 0 that was released after Resident Evil 1 Remake, did not quite fit with the Resident Evil 1 story. Will this be addressed? Would Rebecca or Barry be playable characters? Or perhaps even the now iconic Albert Wesker? Maybe in the form of a DLC? Who knows? As for the release date, there is no official news yet, but it's pretty clear. Resident Evil 1 was released in 1996, so it's logical that the new remake will come out on its 30th anniversary in 2026. As for which part of the year, there are two possibilities really in my opinion. The recent Resident Evil games were released around the first quarter of the year. The only exception might be Resident Evil 3 Remake, which was released in April, and Resident Evil 8, which was released in May period. Ultimately, this likely depends on when the Resident Evil game scheduled for 2025 will be released. What could the 2025 Resident Evil game be? Code Veronica? Resident Evil 9? Or something else entirely? That's a very good question. But the new Resident Evil 1 remake is certain. What do you guys think about the news? What classic features are you most looking forward seeing again, as it's a must-have in Resident Evil 1? And what new features do you think Capcom should definitely include? Let me know down in the comments below. I was Gabe, and I'll catch you in the next one. Until then, keep gaming.